Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through all the Expanded Universe material in chronological order as best I know how.
I needed the phrase in there first before I brought on the man himself.
I thought I was texting Brennan. Is this your number?
Yeah,
I thought Brennan was asking me to come on the. Oh no,
Yeah.
I got you and Brennan's number mixed up. Hold on. Let me. Hold on. I gotta text Brennan real quick. Hey, I'm sorry. When I said that I hate you and don't want to talk to you again, I had the wrong number. Thanks. Bye. Okay, I'm sorry. We can start. Where were we?
You were hating on me for loving Palpatine, like everyone should.
That's right. It doesn't seem that long ago. Thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for being on. It's an honor.
Of course. You know, Fred, my buddy Fred, who came up with that music, the theme song, spoke to him last week. We tried to hang out the other day because we see each other around town. He, since making that soundtrack for me, the Matt's Expanded Universe, he designed that music. This is back before AI. He wrote it himself. He sat down there and came up with it. He's really a jack of all trades. Since then, he got divorced and then remarried. And I don't even know what type of job he's doing. He's doing everything. He was working as a chef. Now he's working as a appraiser. I don't know what all he does, but he's just a super great guy. And I see him every once in a while. And then he reached out to me and said, we need to hang out. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I'd love that. So hopefully I'll get to see him. And he's very shocked that intro is so popular.
It's so good.
There's another intro he was supposed to give me. I took it anyway. Recently, I took it. It was the original music for A More Civilized Age. That was something that Fred gave to me, but then turned around and asked me if he could take it back and sell it to a rapper. And I said, sure. So I couldn't use it. So he sold it. And I asked him, I said, hey, dude, I know it's been years. I said, do you think I could use it? Because I still have the file, but I don't want to use it without. He's like, yeah, dude, use it. I haven't even heard from that guy since, he came in and bought it. And I don't even know if he used the track. I was like, okay, so I can use it. That's okay. So I did. And he said, if he flags it, just, stop. But he said, he's just such a small time rapper. I don't think he'll mind. So I was like, okay. So there you go. Little did you know there. Hey, what are we talking about? Yeah, what are we talking about today?
You, primarily.
Me.
Yeah.
Me.
Well, so
that's a boring topic.
I don't think so. But a little bit ago, on a whim, Thanksgiving, it didn't upload till the day after, but I had made the video on Thanksgiving. I just decided, you know what, because most of my subscribers came from the Expanded Universe. I've kind of dithered into other things like fantasy and stuff, and I've gotten some subscribers from that. But the bulk of my subscribers is from the Expanded Universe. So I was saying thank you to them, and to all the new people who showed up, I wanted to be like, there's this cool thing. It's called the Expanded Universe. If you like Star Wars, you should check it out. And so I kind of just off the top of my head try to give them a play-by-play of a couple areas they could kind of jump into if they wanted to get into the Expanded Universe. And for some reason, like none of my videos do super well. Like my typical view is like maybe 20 if I'm lucky, and like maybe a like and maybe a comment, and I cherish all of them. But this one got like 20 likes and 200 views, and out of nowhere, I was like, okay.
There you go.
But a big part of my EU journey, getting into it, and helping navigate all that, was your videos. And so I left a link in the description to your 500 plus, or no, not 500, just 500 exactly playlist. And then I thought, why not bring Matt on to actually just talk about himself and, you know, maybe get people to watch your channel and help them in their EU journey if they decide to start, since there's a lot there to get through.
Why
But
not?
exactly. And so
Why
I
not?
first just want to ask you, before we even get to the EU, like, what got you into Star Wars? What's your like earliest memory of Star Wars? And yeah, that's about it for the opening of that.
What got me into Star Wars?
Yes.
Star Wars, period.
Yeah.
I was born in 1977. That's what got me into Star Wars. Every kid in the 80s was a Star Wars fan. Every kid in the 80s was a Star Wars fan. So, I mean, that was the only game in town, you know. So everyone wanted to be Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, stuff like. More people love Luke Skywalker back in the day because everyone wanted to be a Jedi. Now they all say, "Oh, Han Solo," because they now know that Han Solo was a little bit cooler than Luke. But don't listen to them. They all wanted to be Luke because everyone wanted to be a Jedi.
Lance in the comments.
Yeah, that's still my memory of. I saw that 3 times in theaters. You think I saw that because it was Return? You think I saw that for Ewoks? I did see it for Ewoks. I'm just kidding. But yeah, Leia in slave gear. It's just a metal bikini to me. And then I remember for my 18th, 19th birthday, they got me a standout cardboard cutout. I still have it upstairs in the attic.
Yeah.
and when my son
on your living room.
Well, when my son moves off to college, I'll give it to him.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Pass it down through the generations. But yeah, I saw Jedi 3 times in 1983. And it's the 3rd most movie I've ever seen with 5 views. I saw it when it got re-released in 97. And again, for its like 30th anniversary, I saw it again in theaters. So making it the 3rd most watched. Say what?
Just a few years back, the 30th anniversary?
Yeah, when it came out. Yeah, 2023, we went and saw it. So I've seen it 5 times in theaters. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is episode 2. I saw it 6 times in theaters. And then episode
2, really?
Yeah, episode 2, because all my friends wanted to go with me.
Oh, okay.
All my friends wanted to go. And episode 1, 9 times in theaters because all my friends wanted to go with me. And I wasn't very responsible with trying to get them grouped together. And when episode 2 came out, I said, okay, we're doing this in groups. And when episode 3 came out, I only saw it 3 times. So,
well, 3, it's perfect then, I guess.
Yeah, 9, 6, and 3 were the viewings for each one, which is kind of weird, but there was the symmetry didn't dawn on me till after it was all over. But I'd like episode 2 and episode 1 to be passed up, but that's going to be very hard. Why would I go see a movie more than 9 times in theaters? You know, back then that was the Star Wars craze going on. In fact, I almost got interviewed by the local TV station because they had heard a rumor that I'd gone to see it every day since it come out. But I said, no, I've only seen it 9 times. He went, that's still a lot. He said, do you plan on seeing it more? I said, no. Because they were still thinking about doing a story on me. I was like, no, the man who has no friends is what this title was going to say. He just goes to the movie theater by himself.
Hey, honestly, it's kind of like a religious experience sometimes. If you go to a movie theater and there's like not a lot of people there and you're seeing a movie by yourself, it's kind of magical. I can't lie.
Yeah, it's kind of magical and kind of lonely. You know, the one time I was in a theater and I was the only person in there. Do you know what movie it was? It's now a cult classic. My brother told me, get out and go see it. And when I said it, I texted him, I said, dude, there is literally no one in this theater. And I took a picture of all the empty seats. He went, oh, you're going to love this movie. It's going to be super popular. Napoleon Dynamite.
Really?
I was the only person in theaters. There was another time that the girls from work wanted to see this movie. I said, is it a romantic comedy? They said, no, it's just a comedy. I said, and this is back before we had internet on our phones.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, and trailers weren't always easy to catch online. And I was like, because this is the early 2000s, I was like, all right. So I went with them. This is like the early 2000s. and I snuck in a Snickers bar and a Coke or whatever to drink. And when I walked in, a sea of women. There's not a single man in sight. And I'm pissed. I'm like, dude, this is a chick flick. Matt, no, yes, it is. And I got loud and didn't realize how loud I said, look around. I said, Me and this Snickers bar are the only thing with nuts in the theater right now. And everyone bust out laughing. I didn't realize that I'd said it so loud. And I got the whole crew laughing. And then they cheered for me, and everyone started asking me to stay. So I stayed. You know how many numbers I got that night? You know how many
No,
phone
how
numbers
many
I
did you
got that
get?
night? 0. What a loser.
0. Was it because you were already married, or were you too
No.
young for that at the time?
No, I wasn't even married back then. No. Why would I be getting numbers when I'm married, Alex?
Oh, that's what I was saying. That's why you got 0, because you're
Why would I
married.
be?
You know what I mean?
Guess how many numbers I got this weekend, Alex?
Just to know you could. You don't do anything with it. I don't know. You don't know.
I think once you put the ring on it, the buzzer hits and the game is over.
Yeah. So
Hopefully the game is over.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Yeah. You hope the game is over by that point. So
Lad says a sea of women sounds awesome. Also,
yeah.
I've looked at my analytics, so that's not the case. I'm sorry to inform you.
It is a bunch of teeny boppers just screaming for him. That's what it is, folks.
I say, ever since I lost the 40 pounds, this all comes around.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my next question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, plus I got no time for girls, only Palpatine. So,
right. There you go. Only Palpatine, only Palpy. All right. What's your next question? That was a good question. What was your other? You asked me a threefold question there. I feel.
Did I? What got you into Star Wars?
What got me into Star Wars?
What was your earliest memory? That was the one.
Earliest memory, quite possibly. And the thing is, I don't like lying, but it is possible to have a memory at 3 years old. So I remember watching, I believe, Empire Strikes Back in theaters. Now, let me tell you what happened. I saw the original Star Wars in theaters. I was 3 months old. Okay. My mom took me. They couldn't afford a babysitter, and 3 and under's free. So when Dad wanted to watch Empire, they still couldn't afford a babysitter, and so we came. It was just me and my brother, and I was 3 and he was 2. And I remember standing up, grabbing the movie seat in front of me and looking over it like this, and being scared to death of the 4-legged walkers. Because on the big screen, they looked huge. And I mean, scared to death. I was like, I don't want those things coming toward me. But I was in theater. My mom and dad did take me. They did say they took me for Star Wars and Empire. And then when Jedi came out, I went 3 times. And I remember that clearly. I remember all 3 times I went because I was 6. And so, and then I remember one Easter, my mom gave us the old school Kenner lightsabers that were just a stick that could, when you swung them, they had holes in the top and would make woo, 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 noises. My brothers got 2 red lightsabers and I got a green one. And the only other ones they had was a blue one and a yellow one. They made a yellow saber. I don't know why, but I remember I only saw one kid who had it and I wanted it so bad, but it wasn't for sale in any of the stores. Just blue, green, and red. But that yellow saber was from earlier. It was an old lightsaber. For some reason, I made a yellow lightsaber. And I wanted it because I wanted all. Oh, but I begged my mom for a blue one too. But mom's like, you already have one. Like, you don't need another one. But I was like, yes, I want all of them. And I still have the original lightsaber hilt here in my garage. Now, the plastic thing, it got smashed up and I took it out and I took a broom handle, painted it green, and drilled a hole in it. But the thing is, this is cheap 1983 plastic, kid plastic. This is a hard wooden stick. So if it hits, it's going to shatter that hilt. I don't know what I was thinking. I did this in college, and I could barely hit with it, but I still have the original lightsaber hilt that I had as a kid.
You were in college, so maybe that's why you did that. So don't have the greatest.
Yeah, it was a dumb idea, but I still had it in my junk. But the lightsaber, the plastic lightsaber, was all bent up. Maybe so.
I was thinking maybe it was the because the Marvel comics sometimes had Luke carrying a yellow one because they couldn't remember or something. So
You know
maybe.
what? That may be true. That may be true as well. May be true as well.
Yeah.
But
The next
yeah.
question, that was a big one, was what got you into the expanding universe, and what's some of your favorite material from the expanding universe?
So what got me into the expanded universe?
Yes.
Okay. I've told this story before, but obviously Alex doesn't listen. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's a good question. No one, not
I
many people
remember
know.
the story actually.
Yeah. So my dad's secretary, who is still dad's secretary 30 years later, she we watched Star Trek episodes together, the original series, and then she gave me some Star Trek books, and I read them, and I was like, "Hey, these books contradict what happened in the show." She went, "Yeah, the books don't really, they don't really, they contradict the show." I was like, "Why? Why read them then? If they don't add on to the show, they contradict. I don't want to read that." Well, anyway, for my birthday, she wanted to get me a Star Trek book because I was still reading them. And then she says, "Oh, well, she couldn't find one, but she found Timothy Zahn's Heir to the Empire." She went, "Well, I know he likes Star Wars." So she gave it to me, paperback. Happy birthday, happy whatever, however old I was, 13th birthday, 16th birthday, whatever it was. And I was like, "This is crap." I did. I said, "This is crap. I don't want to read Star Wars. I like the movies. I don't want to read a book about it." So I shelved it. And then that summer, as the summer went on, I got bored. And I was like, let me read the book. So I read the book and I couldn't put it down. It was excellent. And the second one was out, but it was on hardback, and I wasn't going to pay $22 for a hardback. So I waited forever to that fall till it came out in paperback. Read it immediately. Well, in March, the third one came out, and I could not wait. I had to buy it. So I bought it in hardback. I bought it at the mall at a B. Dalton bookstore. And I remember the lady, I said, I want it in paperback, but I know it won't come out till this end of the year. I said, so I'm just buying it in hardback. She went, "Okay, well, do you have the others in hardback?" I said, "No." She went, "Well, they're right here for sale." And I was like, I spent a ton of money, but I got all of the hardback edition because I knew I'm going to love these. And then after that, whenever a new book came out, I didn't know they were connected. I'd always look and see if it was, "Hey, check out these other books." I was like, "Oh, okay, so it connects." And then later on realized that it all connects. I was like, "Wow, this is great."
That's
I
like
was
one of my favorite
really,
things about it.
yeah.
Because like I've read the entirety of the like Halo universe too, and
Yeah.
they'll connect with each other, but not in any major ways. And one of the things that's most frustrating for me is because
Mm-hmm.
like, and I think this is most tie-in fiction that's not the expanded universe, but like they're not going to do anything super substantial in the book because anything that's substantial has to happen in the video game. And the few
Yeah,
times they've
right.
done something substantial in the books, half of the fans get super mad about it. It's like, well, that should have been a game.
Right.
They're like, well, no, that's like, well, it gives me a reason to read it because it's like, oh, it's actually something important. But a lot
Yeah.
of times it's not. So that's one thing I've always loved about the expanded universe is that it actually matters. So, there's a reason to
Yeah.
spend your hard-earned money on it. So
Exactly. Exactly. There's a reason to read it and be invested in it. And that's like when Del Rey bought the series and they thought, "Hey, do we reboot it?" There was a serious conversation. Do we reboot it? And I believe it was Shelley Shapiro who said, "If we do that, we're going to disrespect the fans who have been following this story for so long." And she got it. She should have run Lucasfilm. Honestly, that's what you do. We can't disrespect the fans who have been following it for so long. So all they had to do was say, "Hey, and I still think Disney should have done this, or the new Lucasfilm should have done this. They should have said, "Hey, you know what? Um, we're not gonna write an official sequel. We're gonna write one way in the future. It's kind of so not to be compared to the old version. You can maybe have a flashback with Han, Leia, Han, and Chewie, and say whatever happened there 150 years later, their action did this. But that way, separate it and don't let them compare the new with the old because everyone's going to always love the old. And
yeah,
then all the expanded universe fans can be happy because we didn't interrupt you.
yeah,
And to be honest, that I think that would have worked. I
yeah.
think that would have worked. Yeah.
But instead, we got what we got.
Instead, we got what we got. But you know what? We got away. We're not touched. The Legends didn't get that treatment. That's good.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of that, what are some of your favorite books from the EU? And
I mean,
I'll leave it for that for now. I think that's a large enough question for another one.
Anything New J Order. The whole New J Order series is excellent. Star by Star being the best. And then you got things like, of course, I love the Jedi Academy trilogy. I think that's good. And then there's a bunch of one-offs. Of course, everyone's favorites, Dark Plagueis and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of ones. I mean, Jedi Academy trilogy is one I really love that a lot of people don't love. I'm trying to think of other ones like that. I mean, there's a lot of hate for New J Order because it was so dark, but that's why I loved it. Obviously, oh goodness, Legacy of the Jedi,
Force,
Legacy of the Force, and then Fate of the Jedi. Yeah, Legacy of the Force is a good one too.
Yeah, also debated, but I as a fan of the prequels, I appreciated, especially after New Jedi Order, they kind of started to. I know at times you were a bit miffed when like Tatooine's Ghost, they had the whole Shmi Skywalker stuff, or
not a fan of them trying to. Well, to me, the problem with that one was they said, "Hey, we just watched the prequels. Let's go ahead and just shove that in there." There was no reason to do that. We don't need to say, "Oh, who's this little kid?" By the, when Leia looks at this picture of a little kid at a pod race winning a pod, why does she have to look at her young father? Because we want to connect it. That was the only reason it was done. And plus, the Bantam era, that era needs to be off limits. Yeah. It should have been off limits to everyone, in my opinion.
I did appreciate that it dealt with a lot of like that Leia, I guess, they established in that book that Leia had talked to Han about not having kids because it was set before the Thrawn trilogy. And I thought that was a very real conversation that you could like imagine just real people having, because I feel like that's something that people actually talk about because of her trauma with her dad. And so I think the worst offender was probably what was it, Survivor's Quest, because it's just like some droidicas that are like old and they're just there because prequels. And I thought that was like there was no emotional connection to it whatsoever. So I thought that one was just like, oh, prequels, so that's there. But I was mentioning all of the prequel stuff editions because after New Jedi Order, they did that a lot with like Dark Nest, which was also kind of contrived, but you had R2-D2 with the memories from episode 3. And I thought it was nice that after we had the tease in Black Fleet Crisis of, Luke's looking for his mom, only to find out, oh, this is all bull. It was nice that he and Leia at least got to see what she looked like, even if it was contrived. And then Legacy of the Force, of course, you have Jason actually viewing the events of episode 3, which, is time travel, even though it's not time travel, but it kind of is.
It's flow walking, which I'm not too upset with, because I don't think you can. He couldn't change the past.
Yeah.
And I know that's what originally they were thinking about doing. Yeah, and thankfully they didn't, because once you do time travel like that, it just messes everything up. It cheapens the death scenes. No one can ever die and stuff like that. Like I love Harry Potter, but if you think about it, with all these magical items Dumbledore had, Voldemort shouldn't have stood a chance.
Yeah. Or why didn't these kids use any of these things that they had in previous books and use it in the finale?
Well, he gives Hermione that time crystal. She can go back in time. Why wouldn't Dumbledore do that?
Yeah.
And cut, Voldemort off the. So it just becomes a little. I'm not trying to ruin Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter series. But the thing is, the last time reading it through, I was like, if he had all these special things around his place, Voldemort stands no chance. So, I mean, in reality, just being real, folks. But I'm glad they didn't do that, because that would have cheapened the death.
Yeah,
for sure. So, I mean, yeah, definitely for that. And I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of. I'm a big Dark Empire fan. Not as many people love Dark Empire was all the thing back in the day, and now it's kind of been passed up. Not as many people enjoy it as much, but I still do. And that was just such a big event when it came out too. It was just so big. But so yeah, those are the ones I like. And to be honest, I love Troy Denning, one of my favorite authors. Yet that is the one book I dislike of his. Like John
Detective
Jackson Miller,
Force.
love all of his books except for Knight Errant. James
Yes.
Luceno,
I know.
love all of his books except for oh no, it was the Qui-Gon Jinn one.
Cloak of Deception.
Okay, I was saying Deception something. Cloak of Deception, which, to be honest, if you're not Jude Watson, you shouldn't write Qui-Gon.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's very flat in that book. There were some cool things in there though. I think Sabioth makes a cameo, and Vajir's in a little bit of it. She's not a big part of it, but she's in it, which I thought was cool. And the political stuff is neat, but it was done better in Plagueis. So, but it is probably the most we get of, I guess, Valorum in terms of what he's like outside of the comics. So it was kind of nice. But
I mean, yeah, there is some setup and stuff like that. I get that, but it was too choppy. The storyline was too choppy. It was very James Luceno, because all of his stuff is home runs, and that one was like, it was okay. Yeah, and like I feel that way with Troy Denning. All of his stuff is home runs, and then even though there was some good stuff in Tatooine's Ghost, it just was weak. There's nothing good about Knight Errant, but John Jackson Miller. To be honest, Kenobi is one of the best books they made.
Oh,
and that's John Jackson Miller, and then Knight Errant, Knights of the Old Republic comic book, one of the best. And in fact, if anyone said, Matt, that's the best Star Wars comic book series ever, I will not argue. It's not my favorite, but it's in my top 3. And to be honest, I will not argue anyone who says that's number 1, because it is perfect. It is excellent. However, this is coming from the same man who did the Knight Errant comic, which was horrible. So, I mean, and Michael Stackpole probably, of course, I don't like iJedi. Everyone knows that. I don't like iJedi, so that was his swing.
Yeah, I think iJedi is generally liked by most people, but I'm also with you.
That's true. That's true. That's true. It is. It is. We are in the minority. That is true. And then
don't read iJedi though if you haven't read Jedi Academy, or maybe read it because you haven't read Jedi Academy, because it might piss you off if you have. And also make sure you've read the X-Wing books if you're going to read iJedi, because you'll be a little confused otherwise.
Maybe slightly, yeah.
There's a little
bit. But the thing is, what you were mentioning the iJedi. I was going to say something else there. Let me see. We talked about the bad books. Aaron Alston. Aaron Alston. What was his number 1 swing and miss?
Mercy
Kill? Obviously, yeah. And all of his X-Wing books are top tier. And his New Jedi Order stuff, top tier. And then when he came into the running with what was it, Fate of the Jedi?
Yes.
He helped, right? Top tier.
Legacy of the Force and Fate he helped with.
And then he did Mercy Kill. And it just, the magic is missing. Maybe he was getting sicker. I don't know. But something was off for Mercy Kill. Something felt off, and it just wasn't as good.
Yeah, I mean, there were cool things like the Yusung Vong pilot. I thought was a really cool addition. But that's probably the most notable thing I take out of that book is just the Yusung Vong that was raised by by like human parents. I thought that was neat. And if they had gotten more books, I could have seen him grow into like one of my favorite characters, maybe. But we only have the 1 book, and it's like a setup for like a really cool character, but we don't have anything else, so it's just kind of like it's fine. But,
right. Yeah. But anyway, I remember I can't remember who it was, but I think it was Brennan and I actually did the series on the website, and I think Brennan was putting out some of those on his channel because he asked if he could republish them, and we were pointing out, the one, these guys are just excellent at everything, but had one stinker, in our opinion. To be honest, Matthew Stover, I'm not a fan of Shatterpoint.
I was gonna say the same thing.
But I think every
love them. But
episode 3, if someone said that's my favorite EU novel, you can be correct. That's a fantastic novelization. There is no novelization, no movie novelization out there that is actually better than the movie.
Yeah.
But episode 3 the book is better than the movie.
I think it's a good companion.
He's not going to say it. But I'm going to say it. That's why it got that special edition. It's better than the movie. Fight me. I'm right.
I'm just saying because
it's a fantastic
he assumes you've watched
novelization.
it. He assumes you've watched it because when you get to that big fight scene between Anakin and Obi-Wan, it's just glossed over. And if it was in the book, then you'd have a win. But he goes, I think you've watched the movie, so I'm going to really quickly go over this and not actually have them fight because you watched the movie. I know you have, so you don't need to see it. And it's like, well, if you only read the book, then you wouldn't have any of that awesomeness. If you wouldn't know. You just wouldn't know what happened. You'd have like, oh, they fought, and then he got his leg sliced. That was it. You'd be like, oh, okay.
You know what I think?
Yeah.
I think Matthew Stover's like, here's how I would have done this movie. And the answer was better. Because that's a fantastic novelization. And
it is.
What's the other one he wrote? The New Jedi Order Jason's yeah,
my favorite book.
Yeah. It's excellent. It's excellent. It's excellent. It's excellent. How dare you? You even met him.
You'll find no truth in me.
It's great. It's great. So I mean, he writes very well, and Shatterpoint probably his one weak spot for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. A lot of people like it, but then I'm like, because people keep going, oh yeah, it's Heart of Darkness in Star Wars. I'm like, yeah, but Heart of Darkness is still better. So if I'm gonna read one, I'm gonna read that.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. And then did you have? I feel like you're asking me these questions in threes.
It was how'd you get into it? What was some of your favorite material, which we talked about? Oh, the next question. The creation of your channel. How'd that all come about?
I got YouTube a long time ago. Oh, okay.
Sorry. I was saying from defending
to a little bit.
When you did the
fast forward a little bit. Yeah, so when no one was watching, I had maybe like 30 subscribers. I did one on I was doing like crazy, goofy ones and just doing board game ones because we were playing board games a lot. And when they announced that Star Wars, the Star Wars had been bought, everyone knows the video. I said, they're going to end the expanded universe. I knew right then and there they weren't going to keep it. And I just knew because I could see the writing on the wall. And eventually, yes, that's what they did. And then I started hearing a ton of people talk about how, well, Timothy Zahn's book was the only thing that was good and nothing else was good. I was like, that's such a lie. And so I did one on Timothy Zahn's book. And then I kept hearing all this fake news about the expanded universe. I was like, no, that's a lie. And so then I did another defending the EU and then another one. And then slowly that started getting picked up and that my viewership started expanding. And I became known as the guy. But I had all these quotes because I used to argue this on forums all the time. And I had a book of quotes that I can, and this is kind of funny. Ryan will appreciate this, but I had them all printed out on sheets in a little booklet binder. Back then, nothing was digital. And so I'd scratch out, I got the top ones I needed. And then I kept doing videos and I'd scratch out a few more quotes that I got from Star Wars Insider, The Gamer, StarWars.com, other magazines. Leland Chee's rebuttal to Star Wars Starlog quote that everyone quoted all the time to him that now idiots still quote like it's gospel, but Leland Chee clarifies. And I love how people say, it's only what George thought. But when it comes to their new canon, they go, it's what Lucasfilm says. No. For me, it's always been what Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm has always established canon. And so when they say Legends is not canon now, this is the new canon. I was like, okay, because I follow what Lucasfilm says. I am consistent. You say, well, George never considered it. George doesn't consider anything Disney, Star Wars does his canon. He didn't consider a single thing his canon. So you keep rubbing it in my face, but yours is no different. It's Lucasfilm that's always decided canon. So it was canon, and you're a bunch of idiots. And I kept doing that. And then I remember my last two defending the EU videos was called All Guns Blazing, which means I was tired of tired of just defending the EU. And I said, I'm just going to give the rest of my quotes. And I did a 2-part series. And then I was done. I said, hey, I'm done complaining. I want to talk about the expanded. And that's what I've been doing ever since, is promoting it and talking about how cool it is and everything.
And you've made 500 videos for all of the expanded universe now, which is pretty crazy. and it definitely helped with
Yeah.
my journey into it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a big thing, and it's still fun to do. It's still fun to do for what is it? Uh, the RPGs right now, and that's been a
Yes.
lot of fun, which is what I'm doing right now, and a lot of people are really enjoying it, and I've enjoyed it too. Looking at new aspects of the expanded universe that I haven't reviewed before, and I mean, there's tons more.
Yeah.
There's I was talking about this on one of my streams recently that I was after RPGs, I'm then going to go through maybe video games, like watch
Yes.
them, like watch
Because you've
the
never played
movie
any of
wise.
them.
Yeah, my weakness is video games, and then maybe give my thoughts on those. And after that, someone wants me to give commentary on the 6 original movies. I could do that. That's easy. And then from there, I can't remember. Someone else said something else to me. I was like, well, that's a good idea. We may use that for later on. But I mean, there's content out there for me to review for years, for at least 3 years,
Yeah.
And everyone was wringing their hands when I was doing my reviews of that intro you played, Max Expanded Universe. And I was like, well, yeah. But now, I'm after I'm done with that. There's just tons more. In fact, Reread wasn't supposed to be the next series. It's just that due to a series of unfortunate events, I couldn't get the series I wanted started. So I had to go. And the pandemic, I said, you know what? This is the perfect time. I'm shut in. There's nothing to do. I'm going to read through every book in my shelf. And I did. And I was getting to where it was only Star Wars left. I went, well, let's reread. And so I went ahead, had a great time with that. That ended, did a rewatch that lasted a little bit over a year. That finally ended. And back in September. And now I'm doing RPGs. It's a little bit different too. I'm just showing you the pages. I kind of like that. And then, it'll go back to watching video games, I guess. But I mean, that's the thing with the Expanded Universe. There's so much to review. There's so much to talk about. On A More Civilized Age, I remember Ryan and Meg were just kind of like, we've been doing this for years, and it's kind of crazy. And Geeks Addict too, when he's on there. But I think it was just Ryan and Meg were talking about this. They said, we've been doing this for years, and there's still topics out there. I said, yeah. And there's plenty of we're addressing a new topic tomorrow night on a stream. And then I'm sitting down with them on this before we go live or afterwards. And I'm telling them what the next year's, I almost have all of the topics for next year, and they're going to be something different because there's always stuff to talk about. And there's always new stuff to explore and, just talk about without new stuff coming out. And that to me is pretty amazing. And everyone's love for the expanded universe, So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun talking about it with friends, doing these reviews like this. And there's always new things to explore. Always new things to explore. Even though Geeks Addict no longer reads the new stuff, that's why we had to bring in Meg to read the new stuff. Because that's what we want. We want it. I hate it, but we got to give new canon a chance in there, because that's the whole thing about More Civilized Age is being, tolerant, sharing. We can be different, cut from different rugs, and still talk expanded universe. Find a common base. And Meg, honest to goodness, Meg gives new canon an honest shot. She doesn't go in there thinking, I'm going to hate this because this isn't Legends. Geeks Addict just got tired. He just got beaten down by new canon. It was just too bad for him. But so Meg's our resident new canon person. She gives it a good shot. But I'm thankful for them both for being different and for whenever Geeks Addict can show up. But anyway, doing these RPGs has been a blast for me. Has been an absolute blast. Absolute blast. I've so much enjoyed it because it's something new, it's something different. And I'm so happy that other people are enjoying it too. I kind of thought, dude, I'm going deep in the sticks here. There's not going to be anyone who's going to, they're going to be so bored by this. But now someone goes, dude, you convinced me. I got to buy all the Galaxy guides. I was like, oh no. So
I enjoy your videos on those. I that's the one spot where it's like I just it's a lot of information, but there's no like story to it a lot of times. Sometimes there's stories, but a lot of time it's just like a lot of info. And for me, it's
Yeah.
like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It just feels like I'm
Yeah.
doing like a school textbook. So I prefer watching you cover it than actually reading it myself.
Yeah. Um, it
Scott's
was,
in the chat.
hey, Scott. Oh, thank you, Scott. Yeah, and Scott's been telling me about a few things too. And Scott's very he knows a lot
Knowledgeable and
about the
stuff.
RPGs, and we've been talking a little bit about them. I had to go back and I did the trilogy 3-in-1, but actually there's a little bit more content if you get the individual ones. And so I did look at it. Will I review it again? Maybe not, but that is true. Now, when it comes to RPGs, I'm not going to review. I am going to review, I think, everything from Western Games and everything from Wizards of the Coast. There is some online content I am not going to review because later on it got like Jason Fry did this Zim the Despot series on Wizard of the Coast website. However, he changed it, expanded upon it, and put it in Warfare, the guide to Warfare. So it's kind of gotten a reprint and a refresh. So there's certain things in Wizard of the Coast I won't be reviewing. And then when I get to Fantasy Flight, I stop when they flip over to new canon. So there's a few Edge of the Empire, Age of the Rebellion, and Force and Destiny that I never review. I will never review because that's when they flipped over the new canon, all the books started talking about the Rebels TV show and all this other stuff. So then I just stopped. So that one I'll stop on. But there's some other little things here and there that I found over the years. And a lot of it for Chris Nelson, who kind of pointed me out and like, hey, Matt, here's a little something here. Here's a little something here. And I was able to find a lot of little things, add them to my collection. Now I'm going to do, every once in a while, I'll do a miscellaneous. I'll bring out my binders that I printed them out, and I'll do one of those. There's one that fooled me because I thought it was legit for years until the internet started getting more and more you could do more research on it. Then I realized it was all a fake, and I was like, oh dang. But I'm going to talk about it anyway because it meant a lot to me when it came out because I thought I'd stumbled upon something great and a fraud. But the West End game stuff is probably the cream of the crop when it comes to RPG. No one was more attentive to detail, put things in a story mode, and just made it so enjoyable. These guides and source books are just such a joy to read. You know, it's just explaining. It's like the Silmarillion in a way. It's not the most exciting stuff, but the thing is, though, you're learning more about a galaxy you love. You're learning in the Silmarillion. You're learning more about the history of a fantasy world that you love. So to me, that's
honestly
just
the history of the fantasy world of Tolkien is more interesting than the actual story somehow. And it's kind of crazy when you read the Silmarillion, you go and then you go back and read the books or watch the films.
Yep.
And you're like, man, the Lord of the Rings is not a big deal. Look at Smaug, smallest dragon, the smallest dragon, and everybody's freaking out about it, but it's the smallest one. Or Sauron. Oh, he's just a lackey to Satan? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You also mentioned Christopher Nelson. I have a playlist. It's not my videos, but I have a playlist called the History of the EU Fandom because Christopher Nelson and
those are great.
Dylan did a fantastic 5-part or 6-part series on kind of chronicling everything big from you to the billboard to everything that went down. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who are my fantasy fans there, back in the day, like 2014, there was a big billboard that was in front of Lucasfilm for like 6 months saying, give us legends. It was a beautiful billboard. It didn't do anything, but it was still cool to have it there for 6 months.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Well, I would say it did do something. It said a statement that we're here and we're not going to go away. And it was great. And someone goes, Matt, are we going to do another billboard? No, we're done with that. We've made our statement. It's time to do something else. And I don't know what that else thing is, but it's got to be when Kathleen Kennedy steps down. Because right now, straight from Lucasfilm, we were told the order of no new legends comes from up top. And when we were conversing back and forth during the pandemic, it was always, hey guys, let me check and see. I was working with Twin Sons Foundation. I do a lot of work with them. In fact, if you don't know, we went out there, did it live. Ryan, Geeks Addict. Meg was the only one that couldn't make it because she was doing a show at the time. She was going to try to make it too. But the More Civilized Age cast went to the charity Children's Hospital, did a lot of great work there. Brian will have some exciting news about that, the fruits of that. Something big came
actually,
out of that drive.
Just for those who don't, you explain what the Twin Sons charity is.
Yeah, it's a charity that was started after the billboard came out, and Chuck Wendig made a snide comment saying, what do you say? You could have just donated that money to charity. And Brian Borg, who's a very smart guy, and said, that's a great idea. Let's do it for a charity. In fact, I said, we were talking about people that we would put on the Mount Rushmore of the EU fandom. And I really think Brian Borg would be there. And I had this is something I prepared for the first Legends Con that I wasn't able to make. And I had 4 names. The other 3 I dropped for just, not that I dislike them or disagree with them. I just think that they were impactful, but it's not a lasting impact. You have to make, for me, it's got to be a lasting impact for years. And Brian just remains solid on that list. And I can't think of anyone else. I know in their kindness of their heart, Brian or someone said, Matt, I can't remember who it was, but I mean, that's nice. But to be honest, it pales in comparison to what Brian has done. I mean, It's just so good. I mean, going there with those kids. I've told the story before. It's just so great. Scott was there. First off, I was like, man, this is great. Those kids are really sick. You can't take pictures, obviously. And but they're pulling up with their IVs, their IVs in their bags, sometimes just the IV things, or sometimes it's the family, their kid's too sick to come down, so they're making something for them. And I remember we were sitting there talking, and all of us were behind the table just talking. And the first person to break right when they came in, I didn't even notice this, was Ryan. He went to one of the children's stations where they build their own little lightsaber, and he was helping them out and playing with them and having fun. And the 501st was there. A lot of new canon characters were there. And Ryan goes, hey, there's Kylo Ren, or what? Why don't you take a picture with him? It wasn't, hey, F Disney Star Wars. He didn't say that. He just said, why don't you take a picture? Okay, you had fun. Okay, great. And I was like, dude, it smacked me. I was like, why aren't we doing this? So I went to the rock painting table and started helping out with there. But it's so, and I talked about this. It's so funny that you have the RK Outpost channel, but then you see what Ryan is like in real life. And if I could, I would have taken a video. I wanted to, but the rule is no video, no photography with the kids. But he was so funny and the story goes, he was admitted to a children's hospital when he was young. And he remembers how scary it was to be in a hospital like that, and how it's kind of not fun to be in the hospital. So he wanted to make those kids' life enjoyable as he could. And the whole trip was amazing. There's rumor that they want to do it again, but there's also a rumor that I don't know. We'll see. I don't know, yeah. But the thing, it's got to be closer to me. But the thing is, though, we had a great time. Something really good came out of it. I think Twin Sons is going to announce it later on, either this month or next year. I can't remember when, but so I'm not going to steal their thunder. But there is something big coming out next year because of that. And that was so good. And what Brian does, they donate sick kids books to hospitals or schools. And during the pandemic, they couldn't do either. So we were conversing with Lucasfilm and saying, hey, what can we do? What can we do? And I said, Brian, let's ask him if we can do New Legends. So we were like, hey, can we get the authors to donate short stories to us online? And we call them legends because they're not going to be canon. We wouldn't step on your canon. We'll call them legends. And then we'll say, kids, go to the website and read, because we still want to encourage kids to read. but we'll make them non-canon, aka legends. So slick, right? So slick. We thought we were so slick. And every time we put in a request, he goes, hey guys, let me check. And I'll say, we sent that off and we got a response immediately. No new legends. He said, sorry, boys, this comes from up top. Now, every other thing the thing was reprinting short stories, that was approved. As long as we got approval through whoever owns Star Wars Insider. They had to check on a few things, but they said if everyone approves it, then yes, you can reprint short stories. And we're like, we want that Legends. But we were thinking, dude, if we get that, Michael Stackpole would do it for a charity. All these authors would donate a story for charity and a story in the Legends universe. And guess what? When they're done, we're going to get authors or, maybe some EU fans to write some other stories. And you know what? After that, we were talking about for 1 year, do X amount of stories, maybe one a week, we were thinking. But of course, through the agreement, we were going to hopefully have 27 more, tons of unpublished EU official Legend stuff. Some of them I said, we should mix it in. Some from, fans, but some from actual authors that just never got published. And then we all released those afterwards saying, hey guys, we can't do this anymore. So we're just releasing these no fee. Here's a whole list of but we're not making a profit. So I don't know how long we could have gotten away with that. That'd have been sweet to continue Legends that way. That'd have been awesome.
Yeah. We
even approved. I said, you can even have Leland Chi or someone from the story group check our stories too, to make sure they're not, they're rated for kids and stuff. We were really slick about it, but it didn't work.
Yeah. Now you've got fans doing stuff that's not, official. So it's like, but like I know there's been the big project for they've already finished. There's a group of people that worked on because we had the in the 90s we had the Tales from Jabba's Palace, the Bounty Hunters, and the Mos Eisley, but we never got one for the prequels. So I know there's been a big fan initiative making ones for the pod race.
Y'all were doing that.
Yeah, I did some, or I'm working on some for
pod race, the Outrider Club, or what was it called?
Yeah, the Outrider Club, and then the
opera. Yeah, that Brennan was an idea.
And Lance and Marcella did ones for Hand of Thrawn 45. That guy, he did one for each of those as well. So
it was an idea. It was an idea I pitched before Lucas bought Disney. I asked them at Dragon Con one year if they had ever thought about pitching a Tales for, episodes 1, 2, and 3 from the Pod Racer, Outrider Club, and the Opera House. And they went, I said, well, he said, basically, they tell us what they want. We don't pitch to them. But this is just after Kevin J. Anderson said, I pitched him a series. So I was like, I'm not asking. Like, well, you got to understand, they tell us what they want. I was like, no, Kevin J. Anderson just said I pitched him a series. They said no. So I made Saga of the Seven Sons out of it. But they acted like it was a dumb question. Daniel from Minox Nest was there. It was the first time I met him in person. And he looked at me. He's like, I didn't think that was a dumb question. I said, thank you. I said, Kevin J. Anderson was just talking about how he pitched something to him. They're looking at me like, we don't pitch things to them. You've got this all wrong, little boy, or something. I was like, dude, what up? But anyway.
I think this actually brings to mind. It just gave me a flurry of new questions I wasn't going to ask, but I'm going to ask them now.
Sure. So, boxers.
First one, top 10, going to be very difficult. EU novels excluding series.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have the library in front of me, but I mean, so you're asking me for my top 5 New Jedi Order novels is what you're asking me for, right?
No, non-series.
No, I got it. My favorite series is New Jedi Order, so the top 5 novels will come out of those.
Yeah, okay, but I'm saying can't be novels from a series, excluding series.
Oh, singles?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Darth Plagueis is somewhere.
Or like a duology.
Kenobi, I can't do that. You're saying singles. Okay. Kenobi is in there. Labyrinth of Evil is in there. Dark Rendezvous is in there. because I think it's fantastic. One shots. Let me think. Looking through them. What's another one? Give me a suggestion if I'm missing one. I know those are solid ones. I'm trying to run through my head of ones I've like just solid
Lockdown.
one-hit wonders. Huh?
Lockdown.
It's either going to be Lockdown. I do enjoy what's it called? What was the one he wrote before that? Not Red Harvest.
No, the Death Troopers.
Death Troopers. I really like Death Troopers. Lockdown is awesome. Shoot, to be honest, Shadowhunters.
Scott says Darksaber, but I don't know if that counts. I mean, it is technically a one, but it's also kind of a part of a trilogy.
It's not. It's not part of a trilogy. It's part of an ongoing, which are all connected to. But Darksaber, there you go. Because that's awesome. Yeah.
Darth Maul Shadowhunters is pretty.
It is the unofficial Callista trilogy. That's what they call it, but it doesn't say that on the label. So yeah. There you go. 5 single one shots. There you go.
Okay, and then 5 favorite series, comic and novel. I know obviously New Jedi Order is number 1. So
New Jedi Order, Legacy of the Force, Legacy of the Force, Fate of the Jedi.
You can also include comics.
Jedi Academy trilogy, and probably Heir to the Empire, if I'm not thinking of anything else. But I mean, it's a classic. Yeah.
Alrighty. I got another.
Okay. So now comic books.
Okay.
I mean, it's Dark Empire, Tales of the Jedi, Knights of the Old Republic, easy peasy lemon squeezy. No doubt about it. Legacy is definitely up there too. It's excellent. That's another one. If anyone said that's the best one, I wouldn't argue with you. I think that's amazing. For a 5th one, I don't know. Like you're saying, series.
Yeah,
and
like Republic.
Republic had its moments that was very good. Dark Times had great characters. Not always the best stories, but great characters.
Yeah.
So that would be in the running. Crimson Empire. Never mind. Okay. Crimson Empire. First one. Crimson Empire would have to be in there. All right. What's the next one?
All right. Top 10 characters. I know Kip's going to be in there. And this is comics, this is short stories, novels, everything is for this top 10. Not just novel characters, it's everything. Top 10 characters in the EU.
Well, of course, Kip Durn I love.
I know, yeah. I know he'll be there.
I'll be honest. It's I love I-5.
I-5, that's the Reeves one, right?
Michael Reeves one. Yeah.
Yeah.
From MedStar and stuff. He's excellent. I'm trying to get out of my way. I always like the Devorian that followed Quinlan Voss around. I always thought he was great. Billy's great. Of course, Zane Carrick. Almost every character from Knights of the Republic is excellent. I really love them all. Bomo from Dark Times is really good. Yeah. I always enjoyed his character. Gint is so underutilized. I thought Gint was so good, and they rarely used him afterwards.
Yeah,
Streen was another underutilized character. And to be honest, expanded universe Lando ain't nothing better. Ain't nothing. Billy D. Williams wishes he could have played expanded universe, because Lando's best moments is the Lando Calrissian trilogy and Black Fleet Crisis. Those are his best.
Also gets married.
He does, but Black Fleet Crisis, his B storyline is the best.
It's the best part of it. Yeah,
is the best by
far.
Lobot
gets some love in that trilogy too. It's nice.
Man, to team him up with Lobot and to be there so much humor, it's genius. It's genius. Michael P. Q. McDowell, underrated author. Let me think. I'm trying to think of other characters I haven't mentioned before that I thought were really good.
You love Tales of the Jedi, so are you a big fan of Ulick?
I mean, Ulick Keldroma, get out of here. Nomi Sunrider, awesome. They're just excellent. I love the original ending of Tales of the Jedi better than Kevin J. Anderson's Redemption. However, the Redemption is an excellent storyline. The only thing I wish, it should have gone 50 episodes, where Vima is studying from Ulick.
Mm.
I wanted more of that relationship to grow. I felt it got cut off too soon. Other fun characters, the Squibs from Tatooine's Ghost.
I like Squibs.
Squibs are great. They're great characters. Good on Troy Denning for bringing Squibs back into the mix. From West End Games. Those are West End Games characters because Troy Denning is a West End Games alum. Platt O'Keefe from West End Games is fun. I wish she would have gotten some love. Scarlet from the last one, Honor Among Thieves, was a great character, and it's too bad the EU got cut short because I think she had a future to come back and do some more.
You are fans of The Expanse, which is on a long TBR for me. I'll get to it someday. But if you are a fan of The Expanse, Honor Among Thieves, speaking of novels, to just if you want to read something random to get into the Expanded Universe, you don't really need any knowledge to read Honor Among Thieves. But that's written by the duo authors, James S.A. Corey, who did the entire Expanse sci-fi books. So, which also a successful Amazon TV show. So,
yeah,
just to mention that.
And I see people like saying, there's people saying Revan, Kyle Katarn, all the video game characters.
Yeah, well,
they're great. I just never played the video game, so yeah.
Yeah, you've only read the Revan novel, and that does not.
I liked it though.
No, a lot of people I like it too. A lot of people don't, and the main reason is because it kind of disses on, so specifically KOTOR 2 more so than KOTOR 1, because it just basically it really simplifies a very complicated situation with KOTOR 2 to make it, and I think that's why people get upset. Because Kreia was a Sith Lord, and it's a bit more complicated than that. And it just really simplifies the KOTOR 2 plot to be like, well, I'm Drew Karpyshyn, and I helped write KOTOR 1. I didn't help write KOTOR 2, so I'm going to blaze through this game's storyline in my book. And I think that's why people get upset. But I do, I think the thing about the game in Revan is that he doesn't really have much of a character, and that's kind of the entire point, because, I mean, it's a really old game, so if you guys don't know the twist, I mean, maybe stop watching. But Revan is you, and so there really is no character. It's you insert yourself into the character, and the real thing is realizing, oh, I am this person, and I personally think the Revan novel did a good job of because he's an established character. There's a character before you play as him, when he becomes, when he's a Jedi and becomes a Sith. And then there's you when you play as him. And then there's the Revan novel. And I think personally it did a good job of saying, well, this isn't Revan from the stories of when he fought the Mandalorians. This isn't Revan from when you were Revan. This is something new. This is Revan with all of his memories from the past and his memories being you. And it's like this merger. So he is a newer character. And I thought it did a good job of that. But people, when you play as a character in a video game, people often get upset when you make an established sort of personality to that, because they're like, no, that's me. You can't give them this. I wouldn't do that. It's like, well, it doesn't matter because this is a novel. Some okay dude. He has a book channel. He says Revan. I walked in at the right time. Revan's a great character. Also, he mentions Ikarit. I love Ikarit from Junior Jedi Knights, who shows back up in New Jedi Order. And that's another beautiful thing about the expanded universe. I mean, really, you are rewarded so much for the time you spend. Like I said, I read Halo, and some of those books are really good. Some of them aren't. But a lot of those stories are never going to be touched again. They'll references each other in their books, but in terms of like the big story, you never see it come up again. In New Jedi Order, you have all these characters from young adult novels and from short stories and from the novels themselves that you read before, that took place before, all matter. And it just like, man, it's not a waste of time. It's like, oh, you can read New Jedi Order and read nothing else, but I think you're really doing yourself a disservice, because you have so much more of euphoria because you go, oh my God, it's that guy, it's that person. I remember that. And it's just so much fun to have that, you know, and you can still enjoy it without it, but you miss out on so much of what made it special. So, and I have my gripes with New Jedi Order, looking at it critically, because like you mentioned Aaron Olston's duology in that book, and I really love the first one. The second one could have been its own book outside of New Jedi. There was no reason for it to be New Jedi Order other than to pad the runtime. But I do love how it heavily ties into Children of the Jedi. I think that's awesome. But it also is like, here, how do we waste time so we don't reach the conclusion of this plot? And here's the story. Like if you cut out book 2 by Aaron Alston, like if you just cut that whole thing, you outside of like 20% of that book, nothing is missed. You can move on to Traitor and miss absolutely nothing. So and I think that is a bit of a flaw. But I still love the connections it makes. That book is better if you've read Children of the Jedi. Otherwise, it just feels like a massive time waster. But sorry, that's my my rant. He says I dabbled in books from time to time. There are a lot of books there to enjoy. Oh yeah, it's Jaden Core. Yeah, with Cross Current Riptide. That's true too. Those are kind of trippy books, or more so Riptide. Riptide gets a little weird. Riptide gets a little funky, but they're fun. Yeah, stories. But yeah, that was your 10 characters, right? You went through all 10? Or
Did I
did you?
give? I can't remember. I can't remember. I think I did 10. I was just trying to name
Okay.
characters. I mean, that's the thing about the EU. There's just tons of characters out there that are really good, and you can't go wrong. And rereading some of these, I was like, oh yeah, I really like that character, and I'd forgotten about. Like I can't remember his name right now, but the droid from Dark Times was really good too.
Dark
I was
Times,
like,
right?
look at
The
that.
ball.
And yeah, and so there's been characters here and there like, wow, that's a really good Droma. You know, is that his name? Droma?
Troma, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The guy
Is
from
it
New Jedi
just a
Order.
good character? And it's hard to replace Chewbacca, you know, and be lovable, but he was. And so I just keep seeing, you know, character to character that gets developed. And Delilah from Legacy,
Right.
you know,
Yes.
just
How can I
it's
ever forget
great.
about
She's great.
Delilah?
But of course, all of the
She is
what
great.
Captain, what's his name? Admiral Stasi? Stasi, is that his name?
Stasi, yes,
Yes.
the
Excellent.
Duro.
Excellent character. Excellent character. They did that one shot issue about him. And it's just, I was like, you can continue on. You can continue on. I'd love to read more. So there's tons of, that's the thing about the expanded universe. There are tons of great characters that you don't talk about because sometimes you forget. And of course, the best one, you know, of course, Luke's, you know, the love of his life, Callistia.
Yes.
Noah's not here anymore. Callista. So yeah. By the way, if you don't know, on Matt's Expanded Universe, there's an inside joke. I messed up and said Callistia once. Noah jumped all over it, so I doubled down on every video and started mispronouncing it on purpose. And Dylan knew that because I said, how can you mispronounce this name? Tell me. I said, no, I'm going to say it. That I can't remember what word it was, and everyone went ape on it. And I just
that was my favorite
funny.
thing of your series is you would just double down on words. Like sometimes you on purpose, sometimes it's an accident, but you would always
the first time if it was the first time, it was probably an accident. But after that, if I heard comments, you better believe I doubled down. You better believe I doubled down. I played it serious. But I remember one time, yeah, that was a good one. One time I actually messed up and said Callista during one of the videos. And I realized it. And so on purpose said, yep. So man, I love me some Callistia. And I was like, but it was too late because I'd already said it right. And I was like, no, because it was driving Noah nuts. And so I do it all the time for him. And the other 2 Easter eggs was Hungry Ewok was a website back then where you could get all these.
I used it a lot.
And so when I talk about a Star Wars Insider short or something, I say, I always mention Yub Nub is one hungry Ewok. He loves that baloney. He's one hungry Ewok. Just telling you it's on Hungry Ewok. And then the third one, which now everyone knows, I had Lightsaber from the very beginning. If you look on my bookshelf, you can see where it is. Noah did a great video one time highlighting it in the very first video. And then somehow I did show it on camera once. I forgot to take it out of my shelf, and I did a side shot of me. And you can see, it doesn't say Lightsaber, but you can see the book turn sideways and Luke and everything. And he guessed, there it is. There's Lightsaber right there. It was half of the cover. And I didn't see that, or I would have removed it because I was not supposed to. So it was there the whole time, you know, and no one knew.
For those who also don't know, in case there's anybody new, I'm just making sure because we all know this stuff, but
Yeah.
sometimes people don't know what we're talking about. So Light Cider was a short story that was meant to be in between the comics Dark Empire 1 and 2, but it never got released. And people always wondered if Tom Veitch had actually written the whole thing or not. It was a big question, or maybe they knew, but it was never released. So we just thought it was lost to you. We would never have. And so, but Matt had it for years, and we just didn't know that he had it. But he slipped up that one time and saw it. He had got it. How did you even get it? How did you get the Light Cider? Or is
How to
that not
get
allowed to
Light
be said?
Cider? Yeah, the original editor reached out to me and said, "Hey, I got this, but you can't tell him because he doesn't want anyone having it. But I'd like you to have a copy." And I have the original version. The one that came out was a revised version that someone got, and got me a copy. Was very happy. A few people also have that copy too, I know. And but I was one of the first ones to get one. I was like, no way. And someone who knew about it for years was Dylan and Jeremy, Stupid Chainsaw Productions, because they came over to the house and I talked to my buddy. I said, hey, I talked to the editor. I said, look, I got people coming over. I don't want to hide the book from them. Can I show them? He went, yeah, but they can't. I said, okay. And when they were looking at the shelf, I said, hey, Jeremy, pull that one over. And he pulled that one in. Holy blank. And Dylan goes, what? And Jeremy goes, I'm reading this right now. Don't talk to me for the next hour. And sat down and read it. And then Dylan said, he said, are you done? And then Dylan ran to go read it. And Jeremy's like going, I can't believe I just read Light Cider. I said, okay, you can't tell anyone. So yeah. And that one, and then to my embarrassment, I had the Hungarian Han Solo novels translated years ago and didn't even know until I got a new phone because I didn't read one of my emails. The guy sent me the first one. And I did a Matt's Expanded Universe on it. And then I said, hey, and I said, yeah, I can't wait till the other 3 get translated. And then he wrote, respond, you're welcome. I thought he was meaning you're welcome that I gave you that one. He had attached the other 3 translated and said, you're welcome. This was like 3 years ago. And I didn't know. I thought I just read you're welcome. I didn't see where there was more attachments. So that's why I did those videos later on, because I was like, oh, wait, I have the videos now.
I mean, it's out there now. If you want to print them, you can. It's now publicly
available. You go on Joe's website. Go on Joe's website, and you can just download it and just make your own printing of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I think I've asked you plenty of questions about the EU, but I don't want you to leave yet because I like your company. So my next question is, because you like a lot of things. You like sports, but we're not going to talk about sports because I won't understand any of it. But there are other things you enjoy, like other sci-fi and fantasy things. So
hey,
I was going
to real quick. I know you don't care about sports. I'm about to be on a sports channel.
Yeah. Okay.
I am. I got reached out to be on a sports channel. If I would,
what's the sports channel?
Team up. I can't say right now because it hasn't been official, but they reached out to me today and said, hey, we're about to start this up and I'd like you to be on it. I was like, dude, totally in. But we have to talk about it and talk about the arrangement and everything. But yeah, so I'm going to be on a sports YouTube channel soon. Anyway, go ahead.
This. I was going to say, what's
no one cares about that.
Yeah, somebody will. I don't know. But what's whether it be sci-fi or fantasy or just contemporary fiction, what's some of your favorite novels that you've ever read apart from the EU?
You know, what is it? What's my favorite novel series?
Favorite do I know? Do I?
You do know. You're going to kick yourself if you don't know it. When I say it, you're going to go, oh, yeah, that's right. I already mentioned a book from that series.
Oh, Lord of the Rings.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. This will, right now, I have not read anything from Middle-earth for the first time since 2020. No, I did read 2019.
Because you don't do like a yearly reread, right?
Every other year I reread. However, 2019 I didn't. 2020 I did. But then I said, you know what? I'm going to read Silmarillion again. I'm going to read the History of Middle Earth the next year. I'm going to read all the Lanyard books. I'm going to read the poems. I'm going to read, there's a new book that came out last year from a Tolkien guy that I really looked at because my favorite response when someone goes, have you seen the Rings of Power? And he went, like, that is such, you just asked me, do you put peanut butter on your nose? It's cool. Because he thought you just asked me the dumbest question. He went, no. He goes, are you going to? Went, not really. And you could tell he's like, I don't want to talk to you. You're an idiot. And he goes, did you like the movies? He went, not really. And I was like, dude, I'm buying this guy's book. I'm buying this guy's book. Because he worked with Christopher Tolkien on publishing this out. And it carried a few new things about Middle Earth. But I'm all about Middle Earth. The Firefly novels, I think they're done now, sadly. I think the contract ran out. They're not renewing it. The Firefly novels, for the most part, were really good.
How does that work? The Firefly novels, was that like after the movie, or
the novels take place before the movie, and
Okay,
the comic
but
book
after the
takes
show?
place after the movie.
Okay,
The
so
comic
there's
book,
novels
and I
after the show.
yeah, I
and
stopped
then
getting the comic books because they were too expensive and not that good. But I may
Okay.
have to go back and pick them up. But I remember the comic books weren't that good. And then what else? What else do I read? I mean, well, you know, I've read Wheel of Time a couple of
Yeah.
times. It's good. I love the Silo series. Have you read the Silo series?
I've not read. What's the Silo series?
Oh, it's excellent. You need to read that. It's 3 books. It's 3
Okay.
books. Dust, Wool, and Rust, I think. Or I may have
Who
got
wrote
that mixed up. Howley, H.P. Howley. Hold on. Doggone it. My brain doesn't work. Silo series.
Okay, I can look at it.
Hugh Howey.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It is called Wool, Shift, and Dust. And those are the most boring names in the world, but it's going to be one of the best novels you've ever read because it's an onion. Just when you think it gives you a twist at the very beginning, and then it just keeps twisting and twisting and twisting. And when you think you've seen it all, the second book comes out and you're so confused what's going on. And then by the end, you're going, oh, this is even, they just peeled back the onion again. Because the world just gets bigger and bigger, and you're just realizing there's this big thing going on. And then Dust, the last one, is the home. Now that you have the story, now it's time to finish it's time for the final act. And you're just like all into it. And if you're a big fan, he did a box set with a 4th little novella. It has 3 short stories, 2 that are prequels that are very interesting and very good. And there's something you've never seen before from the Silo series. And then he puts a 3rd story in there, and it's like an epilogue chapter. And again, at the very end, pulls the rug out from underneath you. And it's brilliant. We had not read those short stories until I bought the box set, and it came with 3 little novellas. And we didn't think they were going to be that big. And we read them, and I read the first 2 and went, oh, he's giving us a different insight. That's awesome. And then the 3rd one, you're going, it's great. It's a great series. It's one of the best series I've ever read.
Sounds like Twin Peaks.
In a way, yeah. It's just onion after onion. So it's really good. Twin Peaks, oh boy. But yeah, so I really like that one. Sherlock Holmes. I love all the Sherlock Holmes adventures. I got that. The originals, those are great. The Jurassic World books, Jurassic World, Lost World, Jurassic Park and Lost World are excellent. I read those. I've read those a couple of times now. Yeah, I mean, I read the first 2 Halo books. Maybe one, if I had them all tracked down. I tried to for a short time. I almost got all the Indiana Jones stuff and started doing Indiana Jones reviews. But I read the first few books, and I did not think they were that much. But I hear the one where he finds Noah's Ark is the best one. I can't remember what the name of it is, but everyone tells me that's the best one. But the thing is, though, you need to start off on the right foot. There's a reason why there's only a handful of books, novels, and comic books for Indiana Jones. There's not that many. And even though I'd like to read it, and I thought about it, but I was like, no, it's not worth it. just because they just weren't as impactful to me. So there's a few other stuff I've enjoyed before. I read all the Walking Dead books; they were okay. The Spartacus novels from the Spartacus show are good. I'm thinking about IPs.
What about
Chronicles of Narnia? Excellent.
Oh yeah,
Read those. I read those it's probably 4 years, and they're due to.
What about novels that aren't connected to an IP?
I mean, Wheel of Time wasn't. I mean, all these popular stuff gets connected to an IP these days. So, even Silo series just got a TV show on Apple.
Right.
So sadly, if it's good, it's going to get a TV show or movie. That's just how it is nowadays.
What's your favorite thing about Real Time?
About Real Time? What do you mean Real Time?
About Wheel of Time. Like, what's your favorite?
Oh, Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time.
Yeah, sorry.
I like the contrast of characters, the adventure that kind of splits off. The first 5 novels are really good, and then you got 6, 7, and 8, which are slogs. 9.
I'm so scared because I don't even think I'm on the 5th one, and I think it's just okay. So I'm so
you're
scared.
Gonna die when you get to 6. 6, 7, 8, and 9 are the slog, and I think 10 he tries to move out of this. There's just too many characters, and no one, like someone gets kidnapped, and the next 3 books, even though it was in the same day or same week, they finally rescue that person. 3 or 4 books later. I mean, just because there's so many characters, it gets bogged down. But then Brandon Sanderson finishes strong.
Yeah,
and saves the series. In my opinion,
when I shove my way through the series, before I read the last 3 that are written by Sanderson, I'd go back and read his books publication-wise leading up to it, so I could get a feel for his writing before finishing Wheel of Time, to kind of get like a comparison of how because I hear he did a very good job of staying true to Robert Jordan's. So to see where his style begins and where Robert Jordan's is intertwined and all that stuff. So that's a big plan of mine. But Sanderson's talked about all over the internet right now because he's like the most popular guy right now in the fantasy.
And deservedly so. He knows how to treat a fandom right. He writes very well. He's a very nice guy. He's also a smart businessman.
Much like the expanding universe, all of his books, and I haven't read any yet, but all of his books, excluding the Wheel of Time, he's like, that's not my series. I just finished it. So, but all of his series, they're all in some way, shape, or form connected. So,
okay, are you ready?
He's got like a universe.
Who does he credit his success to?
To Robert Jordan. No. Who's he credit his success
Dave
to?
Wolverton. Dave Wolverton.
Really?
When Dave Wolverton died, Brandon Sanderson wrote a beautiful, beautiful letter to his fans talking about how impactful, and he would not be a successful author if it was not for Dave Wolverton. David Farland was his name, and he mentored a ton of authors. And he let Brandon Sanderson, when he was a no-name, a nobody, he let him tour with him and sign books next to him and say, hey, you need to read Brandon's stuff. It's really good. And promoted him, taught him how to work the business. And Brandon Sanderson, his advice I still use today. I mean, just had very kind words when Mr. Farland passed away. But Dave Wolverton, and if you notice in the author world, there's tons of authors who all express condolences. Of course, Kevin J. Anderson, a big fan. But also was Brandon Sanderson. That was his mentor. So just shows you the impact this guy had. And if you ever got to meet Dave Wolverton or Dave Farland, he was just like that. He was so patient. I can't tell you, I had 3 conversations with him at times. And he was, or 4, I think. I talked to him at DragonCon. He was always gracious with his time. He made you feel like you were the only person in the room. And he was very smart and just soft-spoken and just very, I mean, like, I know Jeremy from Super Chainsaw Productions was there when we met. I met him, maybe talked to him for the last time. I said, isn't he cool? And Jeremy goes, that was the best experience I've ever had with an author. I said, I know, right? We took up his entire lunch hour, and I felt so awful. Because he said, it's okay, guys. I wasn't going to eat anyway. And I was like, oh, because we asked him to sign some books. And then we got to talking to him. He was doing a workshop at the time. At Gen Con, he showed up late to his own panel because he was talking to me, and he asked me to come sit, and they roped off a place just for the authors, these couches. He said, hey, he said, do you want to sit down? I went, I don't think I'm allowed, but he said, you can come down. Come on, sit down. And I got over the velvet rope and sat next to him. But started telling me about, and this is very interesting, authors who had chips on their shoulder and who for some reason care what fans think and chew out fans and cuss out fans and act like children. He said, it almost happened to him years ago, back when email was a thing. Someone emailed him, I don't like your thing. I think your books are stupid. And he was like emailing them back, well, you're an idiot because this is not what it means. And that's not what I said. And if you recall, this means this later on in the next book, but I guess you didn't read it. And then he said, before I hit send, I looked at it and went, what am I doing? I'm a best-selling author. Who cares if one guy doesn't like me? And he hit delete. He said, but Matt, today with Twitter and everything, he said, they'll just respond back and get mad at some little, kid or some little person who just doesn't like it. You're a best-selling author. Right? And guess what? Shortly thereafter, Chuck Wendig appeared on the scene. And I want to know, did he know that? Was he talking about Chuck Wendig? Obviously so. He was talking about these authors who just get irritated if someone doesn't like their stuff.
I mean, if you get popular enough, whether you have talent or not, people are going to hate you. Somebody's going to hate you.
Yeah.
Somebody's not going to like you. So you just got to ignore it, But, that's really cool, though. That's kind of like worlds colliding in terms of and that happens a lot. I mean, I think I haven't really gotten to the Warcraft expanded universe. There's a lot of novels in Warcraft, but Christy Golden, she's a big writer for that. Troy Denning, you got him in the Halo books,
Yeah.
Kevin Janner.
Yeah, these people are friends in other genres too. Yeah.
R.A. Salvatore, I've not read it. I plan on it at some point just because I like the archetype, I guess, because I've liked Elric. There's a guy there's The Witcher, obviously. There's the guy from Steven Erickson's Malazan series, which you should definitely read when you don't have kids and you have time to actually invest in that. But there's a guy called Anamander Rake who's like obsidian black and has long white hair. But the Drist books were written by R.A. Salvatore, and there's like 40 plus novels of those. So that's a big fantasy series. So
you were talking about it, and I can't remember. I lost my train of thought. Go ahead. You said something. I was holding my back, and then with me, I just forget.
When I said Malazan?
No, you were talking about something else. Got me thinking about a topic. It was earlier on. That's fine. Next time I'll interrupt you.
Yeah, you should. You should interrupt me. When authors intersect with different things is what we were kind of on the vibe about. I don't know if that gets you.
Yeah, talking about authors intersect. Oh, you talk about R.A. Salvatore. That's what it was.
Yeah.
He got to write episode 2 because of the hate he got from New Jedi Order that all the other authors thought was so unfair. And so they told Del Rey, if you're because everyone wants to write the novelization. That's a big paycheck. Yeah. And they said, look, give it to Bob. He got so much hate, unfair for killing Chewbacca. He deserves the big paycheck. So the author said, give it to Bob. And R.A. Salvatore got to write episode 2. But and to be honest, Terry Goodkind, was that who wrote episode 1?
That was Terry Brooks.
Am I saying that right? Terry Brooks. I got it autographed before didn't he pass away? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I got his autograph before that. And I'll be honest, it is, out of all the prequel novelizations, it is the worst. It is just beat for beat. Yeah, I've read the first one. I haven't read the second one. Yeah, it does, because there's a new Riddler. And that's what the second one, Revolution's about. And for some reason, the stupid library doesn't have it. So I read the other one at the library because I'll go to the library and get it. After a few months, you should be able to get anything. But for some reason, Batman Revolution, they don't have. They never have any book I want. So, like there's a lot of books I want to read that are popular that get tons of reprints that are still up today. And the library looks at me every time like, who? And I go, this. It's still in print. Like I'm not asking for an out of print rare thing. but I asked for the most, I guess, awkward books. Like my cousin was telling me, dude, they got every book imaginable. Just go here. They got every ebook I said, no, they don't. He said, yeah, dude, even stuff you don't think you have. So I named a ton of books. None of them. He went, are these real novels? I went, yeah. And I pull it up. I said, there. He went, oh man, are those like fan made? I said, no, they don't have the novels I want. Now, do they have Batman Revolution? They better, but yeah.
Matt, if somebody today, excluding the Thrawn trilogy, because everybody always mentions that, if somebody said, hey, Matt, I like the expanded universe, or I like Star Wars, don't care what era, I like it all, what would you recommend I start with in the expanded universe? What would be like your top 3 answers?
Say again.
So excluding the Thrawn trilogy, if somebody was like, I like all Star Wars, doesn't matter what era or period in time, what would be your 3 recommendations to get into the expanded universe? Excluding the Thrawn trilogy, because everybody says the Thrawn trilogy.
Okay. Depends on what section you want to jump in. So if you're, or what you like to read. If you like to read comic books, Dark Empire, because it keeps the original people that you love and tells you a story that's kind of self-contained about the Emperor coming back, as a clone. If you are, let me think. Hold on. If you're a younger kid, Jedi Apprentice series by Jude Watson. It's excellent. No one else should, like I said, no one else should write Qui-Gon but Jude Watson.
Yeah, it can get a little pricey because they haven't reprinted it, but it's worth it.
True, but you were asking me.
No. I'm just saying.
So that's a good starting point. Let's say, well, get it digitally. Rip it off. It's got to be somewhere. Yeah. And then what's another different way to look at it? If you I don't know. If you're into the Old Republic, the Bane trilogy. If you're into the Old Republic, Darth Bane trilogy. There you go. So there's 3 different avenues to get in it besides the and here's another thing. What if I want, should I start with Truce of Bakura? Sure. Day after Return of the Jedi, go ahead, do it. I like Truce of Bakura. I like Kathy Tyers.
And it's a day after episode 6, so you don't have to have any other knowledge except the films.
Yeah. So that's another good jumping spot.
And my final question, you kind of already answered way earlier, but it was about what you're currently up to, which is the RPG stuff right now. So
yeah,
that's already answered. So I want to ask it again.
Yeah. So I'm having fun rereading through the RPGs. I think they're a lot of fun, and I'm super glad that other people are enjoying it, because I was kind of like, dude, and who knows, maybe after a few months of doing this, people are going to get bored of it. But either way, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I think I've taken up about a movie length of your time, so I think that's pretty good. But I'm trying to think here about how to. Matt is a fantastic guy. He pretends to hate me. He mostly does actually hate me, but but he's a really good guy, and like I said, he said at the end of my video, but he really is kind of, in terms of EU on YouTube. There was a couple people before him that were doing stuff that he would watch himself, but really he was kind of, out of everybody on the YouTube sphere, he's probably the biggest EU YouTuber in terms of having actually talked about every piece of media involving the expanded universe. So if you need an avenue to get into it, he's the guy to go to. From I mean, that playlist alone it gives you hours of. I would watch that. I would watch those videos long before I read half of those books. I would watch those. I would just binge them. It would have my imagination sparking, especially because until Matt did his reread, sometimes he would say stuff that didn't happen until another book, but he'd say it in that one because he was going off a memory of like 10 years.
Yeah, because you knew what was by that point. I'm just assuming, I did more deeper dives and reread because at that point you should already know the story. At that point, if you don't, you can watch Matt's Expanded Universe.
Yeah. but it really gets your mind whirling and excited to get into it. And I would always watch a Matt's Expand Universe before I read the book myself. And so it's a great resource. I didn't share it, but also when you get to New Jedi Order, if you get to that point and you watch his reviews, he has a really ominous intro for those reviews, which is really fun. And he just a lot of these little skits, you know, reminds you of older YouTube of back in the day, where occasionally the video would stop being a review. It would just be some random thing with Yub Nub attacking him or something, or ditching him on the road for like a week or whatever. So there's fun stuff all around to enjoy from that. And he also has like a million podcast episodes of the Prince of the Universe where he talks about a wide range of things from freaking Highlander to what's Willow and so much more.
Yeah, a lot of nerdy stuff. And then Saturday Morning Sam Plans, we give a top 5, which I just realized I've not rendered that video yet, and nothing's up for this Saturday, so I need to get that done. I just recorded it this week. So yeah, and then all sorts of fun stuff. So it's a fun channel. It's been a fun time. So thanks for having me.
You should go subscribe if you haven't.
Yeah,
and go learn about the EU through Matt and his silly shenanigans. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for everyone for watching, and anybody who watches later. Thank you, Matt, for coming on. It's an honor. Will you copy my little head weave? Okay, there you go.
There you go, a little head weave. Well, thanks for having me on. This has been a lot of fun. It's great talking to you, Alex.
Of course. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.